Once upon a time, in a village, there lived a farmer and his wife. They were very poor and did not have any children. They owned a thin cow, which was weak due to lack of nutrition, and a small piece of farmland. They sustained themselves by selling vegetables and milk. Next door lived a very wealthy farmer with a large estate and many servants. He owned 15 cows and numerous other farm animals. A small fence separated their houses. One day, a fight broke out among the cows from the estate, causing them to break through the fence between the farmer's house and the estate. The hole was large enough for a cow to enter through. On a day when the poor farmer didn't have time to take his cow outside for grass, he gave the cow some grass and left. The farmer's wife removed the rope from the cow's neck. The grass was not sufficient for the cow, so it wandered into the estate and began eating the flower plants and vegetables. Servants from the estate saw this and hit the cow. The cow ran back to its place through the fence, breaking the entire fence in the process. The poor farmer saw this and went to question the estate owner. "My cow is very weak, and your servants hit my cow very badly. Now it is about to die," said the farmer. The estate owner got very angry that the farmer's cow had eaten all the plants and destroyed the fence. "Now he dares to question me," he thought. So, he ordered his servants to tie him to a pole and beat him. The farmer's wife ran to the estate and requested the estate owner to release her husband. He released the farmer and said, "Your cow destroyed the fence. You have to pay for the new fence. Otherwise, I will take over your small piece of land and your cow, which is about to die." The poor farmer and his wife returned to their house, very sad. The poor farmer didn't have money for medicine for his injuries, and he was in no state to pay for fencing. His wife suggested that they should visit the king. "I heard he is young and kind. Maybe he can help us pay for the new fence," she said. So, they decided to write a letter, an application to the king. They both didn't know how to read and write. So, they found a white paper and started to draw with charcoal. As the symbol of their house, they drew a small circle, and for the big estate, they drew a big circle. For the fence, they drew a line. For the cow, they drew a pole, and for the hole in the fence, they drew a hole. Since the cow ate the grass in the estate, they drew a flower, and the estate owner tied the poor farmer to a pole, so they drew another pole. So, in the end, on a white paper, they finally drew a small circle, a big circle. In the middle of those circles, a line, and two poles. They both thought that their letter was really understandable. The next day, the farmer packed some food and started to meet the king, who lived next to 3 villages. In the midway, he found a comfortable place to eat his lunch. While he unpacked his lunch, he saw a horseman also came to take some rest. The horseman asked the farmer where he was going and why he looked so injured. "Are you going to consult a doctor?" The poor farmer said he is going to meet the king. The horseman asked why. The poor farmer showed his letter of application to the king and explained the entire story and asked the horseman if his letter was clear to understand for the king or if he needed to add some more information. The horseman smiled and said it is a very clear application. He will definitely understand it. The poor farmer felt happy and shared some of his food with the horseman. The horseman showed the way to the king's palace and left. The poor farmer reached the palace and rang the bell. A soldier came outside and took the farmer inside. The king was sitting on the throne, and there were many ministers and soldiers. The farmer couldn't open his mouth. He was very nervous and started fearing. One of the courtiers asked the farmer what he needed and why he wanted to visit the king. "You better have a good reason. Otherwise, you will get punished for wasting the king's time." The farmer handed over the white paper to the employee. The employee asked the farmer what it was. Since the farmer was shivering in fear, he couldn't answer. So, the employee handed over the paper to the minister. The minister also couldn't understand it. Almost half of the court saw the paper, but no one understood it. Finally, the king asked to hand over the paper to him. The king saw the paper and said it is very clear. "I understand it. This small circle is your house?" The poor farmer said yes. "And the big circle is your neighbor who is very rich?" The farmer again said yes. "This line is the fence. Your cow crossed the fence and ate plants from the estate, and servants in the estate hit your cow." The farmer said yes with a crying voice. "And these 2 poles are for your cow, and the second pole is the one you got tied up and got beaten." The farmer said yes. The king said to the farmer, Go back to your house and tell your wife that the king received your letter and will show the solution to your problem." The farmer was very happy and grateful. The king sent a few soldiers to drop the farmer at their house. The ministers in the court got confused and asked the king how he was able to understand it very clearly. The king smiled and said, "Today afternoon I met him on the way. He is very innocent." The next day morning, the estate owner came to the farmer's house. He looked like he got beaten very badly. He apologized to the poor farmer and his wife for his misbehavior. Also, he gave the farmer 5 cows and 5 acres of his land and left. The farmer told his wife that she was right about our king. He is very kind and intelligent, but I don't know why he appointed very foolish people as ministers who don't even know how to read an application. The farmer and his wife lived happily with 6 cows and land. In the story, when the farmer and his wife faced a tough situation, they didn't lose hope. Instead, they decided to ask the king for help, even though they couldn't read or write. They showed bravery by drawing pictures to explain their problem. And you know what? The king understood them and helped them out. The lesson we learn from this story is that it's totally okay to ask for help when we need it. Even when things seem really hard, there are kind people out there who can lend a hand and help us find a solution. So, let's remember to be brave, never give up, and always reach out for help when we need it.